Hello viewers, Marianne from Revealing Light Tarot. How are we all today? Wherever you are in the world when you're watching, a huge shout out to you. I've just finished, or am in the process of, uploading my full moon in Aquarius video for viewers all around the world. And at the tail end of that video, I started to explain our situation in Australia with Delta rising to the variant of COVID, and I wanted to get on for my Australian viewers. I know a lot of you are worried. My previous readings have shown that we would struggle to get this under control. That's like one of those duh moments. Obviously, yes, we should have locked down straight away. I've been on Twitter also, and I've seen some criticism of Australia pursuing a COVID zero approach through lockdown. That is not what we're doing. I just want to be very, very clear. We are not pursuing that. We are having to lock down because we only have about 10% of our population of 26 million. I misspoke the other day. 26 million of only 10% have been vaccinated. So while ever we've got such very low, by and large, 90% of us are not vaccinated. I've had one shot. While ever we've got those rates, we have to pursue lockdown because Delta is spreading like wildfire and is putting us in the ICU, the intensive care unit, and onto ventilators. So we have no choice but to lock down. That, of course, is hitting our economy as well. So our state leader, Governor, Premier, has today called for the federal government to recognise what is happening in my state as a national emergency and take a refocus to its vaccination strategy. So, for example, one of the things they're talking about is ramping up, trying to push through. We've got lots of AstraZeneca now because we're manufacturing it onshore. We turned down 40 million doses of Pfizer originally. We have very little Pfizer for our young people. Our FDA equivalent has said AstraZeneca in younger people is too much of a risk for blood clotting. So if we were to vaccinate our entire population with AstraZeneca, we would have too many people dying of that blood clotting risk. So we did not have the vaccine spread. We have very little Pfizer. What our Premier wants to do, or wants the federal government to consider, is pushing all those Pfizer into one dose. Like whatever we've got of Pfizer, vaccinate our young people and get at least one dose into them to prevent this, A, to slow down the spread, and B, to stop what might be a high mortality rate, put that drain on our hospitals. In many places of Australia, we've got a lot of population concentrated on the coastal regions. Many places inland just do not have the capacity in the hospitals, nor there's not even doctors in some towns. We do not have the capacity to have this break out in a widespread way. So it's a worrying time for Australians. We did remarkably well. We were remarkably disciplined locking down in 2020 prior to vaccines becoming available. If we could go back in time, our Conservative leader, just should not have put all the eggs in the AstraZeneca basket. And, you can't pressure your drug regulator to just lift their concerns and say, well, just give AstraZeneca to everybody. Be damned with the people that die, the young people that die from blood clotting. Our drug regulator is not going to do that. So anyone who wants AstraZeneca can have it, but plenty are fearful of those side effects. There is a question around the effectiveness overall against the many strains of Pfizer of AstraZeneca when it stacks up with the mRNA vaccinations. Most people, I think, would have preferred an mRNA vaccination or a different vaccination to AstraZeneca. Okay, so all of that considered, people are now, just getting AstraZeneca. And just in this last week, we've had 2 people in their 40s pass away from the blood clotting. You might say, oh, well, that's just two people, but that's two lives lost from complications from AstraZeneca. So, what do? We're making very, very hard decisions, I still had my AstraZeneca despite my local doctor and my special immunologist recommending I don't have it. But I had no choice. I couldn't get Pfizer, so I took the AstraZeneca and took the risk. Thankfully, touch wood, after the first dose I was fine. I've got my second dose coming up. Experts tell us it's not, if you've come through successfully with one dose, you don't need to worry too much about that second dose because the risk of blood clotting just drops. So you can see these difficult decisions that people have had to make. All right, so what's going to happen now? Let's just see some messages for Australians. I want to know why this is happening because, like anything, you want the why. Okay, so just some overarching oracle cards, please, for any of my Australians or anyone in the world who's worried about the Delta strain and the virulence and what it could mean for them. What are the overarching messages, please? The Father Gate, bold step forward. Yeah, it is a time for boldness. This is 5-5. There is change afoot. We do have to be brave. We do have to be courageous. And yes, those people will gamble. Those young people will gamble and get AstraZeneca, and most of them will be okay. This is also boldness around not descending into the primitive kind of emotions that lockdown brings. You're taking away my freedom. Well, the person next to you has their freedom is to be safe as well. So, dampening down our baser instincts and looking at what is good for the wider community. We do have to be brave when we're battling against, what is primarily our ego, which is a complex thing made up of all the experiences that we've had in this life, the familial traits that we inherited, what makes us an individual. We have to put some of that aside to look at what is for the greater good, and so we also need bold leadership as well. The root girl, the disowned self. I asked, what is the message for Australians? The disowned self. Australians are notorious, or they can, and I've done this too, of stepping back, saying it's not my problem. It's not my problem. What happens to you is not my problem. This is about strengthening the community, and indeed, this is a microcosm of the lesson for us all. Strengthening, moving toward a collaborative group team effort. If you haven't looked at my full moon reading, please do. Root girl, the disowned self. What is disowned? Disowned from the wider community. Step forward, be part of the community, do what's in the best interests of the community. Dragon's horde, protecting the future. Again, this is a variant that is particularly hitting young people hard. And so as much as young people were asked to protect older people in the beginning of COVID, we're now being asked to protect them. Protecting the future, this is also around our economy. So there's going to be sacrifices. There will be lives lost to the blood clotting. There will be lives lost to Delta. But the only way through this for Australians is to come together as a community and do what's in the best interests of everyone. Not just you, not just your interest, but what is in the best interests of everybody. The lay of the land, ancestral wisdom. I always go to, the ancestors of Australia. We have very, very strong, it's like a heartbeat, a drumbeat of the first peoples here on this land. And they always continue to inspire us. I think we need to look to our elders, to take our counsel from our elders. And those statesmen too of Australia, we've got Professor Doherty here, who made that first breakthrough in immunology and viral immunology. We need to listen to our experts. We need to not be putting our faith in our political leaders at this time who are not listening to the experts, who are, got these blinkers on. So we need to put pressure on our political leaders to get the best wisdom that we have in this country. This is about using our resources and group think, coming together to look at what resources that we've got, operating on the same page. Forget the political sniping, forget, the kind of comparisons that we've had between Liberal and Labor states here, Tory and progressive states, and forgetting that and coming together as one and combining our resources. Australians have always been innovative. I think we invented the solar panel. We've got wonderful innovation here. We need to be calling on the best of ourselves. Okay, so there's some oracle messages. Let's get asking some specific questions. Given in my previous readings, I thought we wouldn't get on top of this until September, late August, September. So some are saying even October now. So spring, I thought, when we move into spring, we will be able to come out of reasonably restrictive lockdowns. So let's just take a look here. Okay, let's have a look at via the tarot, why is this happening to Australia? What are the lessons needed? What are the lessons we need to learn from the latest outbreak and really catching us unawares or catching us vulnerable? What are the lessons we need to learn? Again, I think it's around this politicization of the virus, the Empress, abundance, the harvest, what we reap, sowing what we reap, challenged by endings and beginnings. So this is a season of time. We lost ground. We lost ground through wrong decisions, through following, through putting self-interests, I'm talking about our political leaders, through putting self-interests at first, we've lost ground and we're struggling to end this because of that political self-interest. Why did we turn down a reported 40 million doses of Pfizer? Why did we, risk management? I've done risk management. I know what that only going with one vaccine would have been a horrendous risk. And I'm sure there was advice from our health department up to our government that we needed to spread our vaccine risk because the blood clotting was showing up in the UK. So why did we effectively only go with one vaccine? Some will say because we can manufacture non-mRNA vaccines on shore, but there was more to it than that. As it's turned out now, we are literally begging Pfizer to give us some more doses. Well, I hope that's what we're doing. So we've got strength, testing our strength. In adversity, our strengths come to the fore. Interesting reading. Let me bring the laptop down. Our strength, testing our strength. We will see, this is the lion here, we will see strength coming forward. We will see a coming together and acting in the greater good. The card in the past is the Fool card, a new start, but also showing up what was foolish. And you'll notice that they have a drum. It's like the march of time. Foolishness to think that we could beat the clock, if you like, when it came to this virus. What's in the sky is the Page of Coins. This is a card that is familiar across all economies that are currently struggling. This will have an impact on economies that are still recovering from the alpha and beta strains of COVID. Let's take a look at what's in the near future. Manifesting and Magician. We will need to look at all of our resources and we will need to come together to use those. The magician has resources. So that's a good card to have, that resources will be will be thrown at trying to get on top of this. This is what we need. The Seven of Cups in the here and now. Why am I not surprised at that card? There are the virus deniers, COVID deniers in this country. There has been the politicisation of the virus. We had in our state, we were slow to lockdown. Bad choices have been made, and that snake there is biting us all now. Challenged by the Lovers. Okay, so not coming together, not doing what was in the best interest of the country, but doing what was in the best interest of the various deals. We don't know what the deals were that was made. We don't know how industry advised our state government not to lock down in the beginning. We don't know why we put all of our eggs in the one AstraZeneca basket. It's been reported that members of this government have shares in AstraZeneca. You can do your own research. I haven't looked into that. However, I do know we've had a very close relationship with the UK. One of our former Prime Ministers is a trade envoy to the UK. So AstraZeneca, it was why did we do that? Why did we order and put all those eggs in that one basket? Why didn't we take the Pfizer offer when it was given? And we've got here partisanship in the fears, obstacles, division, infighting, politicisation. That's in the fear and also the hope position. So now we've got the Seven of Wands, having to defend ourselves. This is a precariousness. These wands come to misstep. This person is probably crossing some very dangerous landscape, and they're having to balance things. This is the situation we're in. And the Knight of Swords, there are, check my Aquarius, full moon in Aquarius reading, there's truths to emerge here. Why did this happen to us? It is about the truth emerging and moving in to a better pathway forward as a result of the truths that have emerged. Page of Wands, we will get on top of it. It is spreading quite rapidly, but we are going to move forward with getting our population vaccinated. The King of Wands, again, the leadership, the Ace of Wands, new leadership and coming together as a community. These are lessons for us. This is fire energy. Fire energy here in Australia is what is needed. Fire energy here in Australia is what has been lacking in terms of moving forward. Again, that complacency at play here, and having to really face a critical situation to bring out the best in us, but also to see the truth of why we got here in the first place. So one more question. This is just a quick reading. Are we going to be able to get on top of this? Are we going to be able to accelerate our vaccination? Will our vaccination rates drive vaccination strategies, programs? Will the inertia be lifted? Will we start to move forward quickly with vaccinations? Will we be able to move forward quickly with vaccinations? Three of Cups coming together. Again, coming together as a community, supporting one another. Yes, that's a yes card. The Two of Coins, it may not be accomplished straight away. We might have at least another couple of months of precariousness to go through, but we will see a speeding up as the message gets out there. It looks like you could even have some states working together, supporting one another. Tory states, progressive states might come together to kind of deliver a national message, or to the federal government to put pressure on the federal government for an accelerated approach. There will be healing and balance coming through. We are in rough waters, but we will be moving out of those rough waters, and it is about coming together and doing what is good for the greater community. Fire energy here coming through again. That's what will get us out of it. This is what Australians do really well. We come together when the chips are down, as we say, which means when things are critical, we come together and we move forward, and we take that strategy or project and we are inspired to get on top of our our crisis. The Nine of Coins, freedom will only come from coming together. We have the Wheel of Fortune, change. Unfortunately, we have the Death card here. So we've got a rough couple of months ahead, but we will eventually get on top, and we must put that partisanship aside and do what is for the greater good here. There is no place for political spin here. This is a crisis that Australia is facing, and it will only be solved. It will only abate when the lessons are learned. So let's see. But in terms of predictions, a couple of months yet, but we will eventually come back into balance as those vaccination rates increase. But I feel the states might join together to either put pressure on the federal government or to come up with some kind of joint action between themselves. It will be interesting times here. If our federal government cannot help our states, the states will help themselves. All right, so that's the reading. I'll be back again soon with another. Thank you.